good day to you from Galactic on Tuesday, the 11th of August, 2026. Now, over here in our inset window, we have an outline, and the reason there's an outline there is this series is purporting to document the production of a scientific paper. However, that's not what I would call an exciting topic, and I will not be dwelling on the production of that scientific paper, which should be out by Christmas. Now, I've promised this scientific paper for 3 years. And each year at this time, it's a tradition now here at Galactic to promise this scientific paper, so there will be a document documenting the discovery of a rather simple geometry. Well, why have I not produced it? This is 2026 going into the Christmas season, and you can see we're all bundled up here, even though it's going to be 100 degrees here again today for about the 14th day in a row. I do live in the Northern California basin, and it does get up into the hundreds regularly this time of year. And for some reason, perhaps it's just totally coincidence, I produce a promise around July. Boy, oh boy, you're going to get that science paper. It's going to be out on 2 public sites that I own, essentially, since it's open source websites. Those are available, and I've given video presentations on how you can make your own free website. You don't need GoDaddy, although you do need to know a little bit of HTML, because you're going to have to write the whole thing. Well, no, you won't. In this day of modern packaging, you can get yourself a whole website and just flick and put it into either Google Pages, or there is another way of doing that, which I will be talking about, because I will produce that paper by Christmas, and by now you know I'm probably lying. Because for 2 years in a row, back in 2024 I did this, it'll be out by Christmas. It was not out by Christmas. In 2025, around this time of year, again, when it's in the hundreds, anticipating the coolness of winter, a similar promise was made. that paper is coming out, baby. I'm writing that paper. Well, it's not that I haven't been doing anything. I have been slowly, very slowly producing that paper. And this year I'm making the promise for the 3rd time that paper will be out by Christmas. And what you see over here this is our technological window, our inset window. It shows that, boy, I'm on top of technology. It's taken me 4 years to learn how to do any of this. Because even though I may be technologically savvy, I'm not what you would call a quick study. I do everything extremely slowly except talk. And I make up for not talking slowly by talking a long time. My natural cadence is about 2 to 3 hours at a shot. I would make an excellent lecturer, but I'll tell you what, 4 years ago when I began on YouTube, I would not make an excellent lecturer. Why? Because I was unpracticed. I've never spoken before. Well, I used to be something of a Bible teacher, and I have taught in 2 countries in front of groups of people, which some people find intimidating. Well, yeah, you're talking in front of a lot of people. Of course you're intimidated. And you also may not be good at it, which may be one reason why you're intimidated. Because you know you suck. Well, here you see I have a magic window, because I want you to see, I'm going to highlight this. This is a timeline that I punched into a comment to answer a very kind gentleman's comment who I've been begging for attention, as we all do on YouTube. The whole idea is communication, so of course you're trying to do antics in order to be observed. Because you're trying to share. So it's a positive. I mean, my God, if humans aren't sharing, what are we doing? Well, if we're not sharing, we're usually fighting. So I say, let's share. Well, that's the whole premise behind YouTube, which has been extraordinarily generous to me. Over the 4 years that I've been producing, I have been warned twice about my language, Because this didn't just end up being just geometry. No, it's too tempting. No, I branched out into politics and religion, which, generally speaking, have nothing to do with science. Let's just lay the cards on the table. This is a science channel? Well, it's false advertising. I started talking about world politics, what's going on in Ukraine, what's going on in the Gulf region around Iran and Israel. Gee whiz, what's going on there? Well, I couldn't resist. Because in the 4 years that I have been producing this geometry, and it's supposed to be just geometry, it's a far cry from politics or religion. Anyway, I am going to produce that book. I'm totally serious about doing that. And this is what I posted back to my commentator, who was very generous. I've been saying, listen, you all, it's time for you to get with the program and find me an interview. Like I'm enlisting this legion of people. Well, one guy took it serious. He's like, I think you should be interviewed. I agree with you, and I'm going to try to help. And I'm like, what? I did not expect this. Well, you would think that I would be gratified. Of course I'm gratified, but I'm actually kind of blown away. It's like, what? So someone is actually taking this seriously? Like there's someone's listening? I could hardly believe it. Every now and then I get a like. And I've gotten several likes on one video. My videos never get unfavorable reviews. Well, of course, every now and then you get some troll. I've been remarkably free of trolls. There's only one guy who just said something like, you sound insane, and that's all he said. And of course, he didn't say why. And that one got a dislike. I don't like getting dislikes. And I've only gotten maybe 6 out of 1,600 videos. I've only gotten like a half a dozen dislikes. So I'm doing something right, but it's not like I get hundreds of views. If I get a dozen views, I'm happy. And that's because I'm doing this for myself. Although that's somewhat incomplete to say, because I wouldn't be on YouTube if I were doing this just for myself. Well, the nature of science is to share. But it's a system which provides enormous benefits to those who simply engage. That's why becoming a scientist is such an important step in a man's life. If you don't become a scientist during your life, in my opinion, to that degree, you wasted your life. But the way I treat science is not as technology. Technology is a huge part of science, and it has to be explained, and it has an extremely disturbing, eerie, supernaturally icky. The technology is not a happy story. We are brainwashed, at least in the United States of America, where I was raised. We are brainwashed to worship technology. Well, I, being a fairly nominal Christian, just a lifelong student of the Bible, I just recently completed my reading of the Quran, which I only discovered last year in my own life. I found the Book of Enoch, and I've read all 4 versions, and made a distinct study, as I've made a habit all my life, of studying the religious side of human life, which is not in popular demand in America anymore, and really never was. The study of the Bible has got to be the driest, most revolting, most put-off-ish topic of all time. You're a Bible scholar? You are not needed in our conversation. Click. You are unwelcome. A Bible scholar is not a beloved man. And if you do have a following, it's because you're in some pansy-ass church that's undoubtedly Trinitarian, which means it's not Christian, unless you use Christian as a curse word. Oh, he's a Christian. Oh, fuck us then. Get him out of here. Get that motherfucking Christian out of our goddamn scientific conversation. And that's me. Well, it was never like that because I hated science, which just contradicted what I said about what a man should be like. I was not that man. uninterested in science. Well, my God, hold on. Hold on. How can a man who obviously sounds as balanced as I do... Yeah, we get into psychology now. I don't want to bore you, but I do want to give you some background on why I've promised to write my paper for 3 years now. This is the 3rd year I've promised. Will I effing do it? Am I going to live up to my promise? Because a man who does not fulfill his word is not a man. All right, you gotta fulfill your word. If you say you're gonna do something, and then, everybody, which might be one or more people, it could be zero. That's what I always envision, is nobody gives a fuck, so who cares if I write it or not? There were extenuating circumstances, and I am not guilty. I am not guilty. Although you could make a case, I'm as guilty as sin. You said, Scott, you were going to finish it by Christmas of 2024. Here it is, January 2025. That's when I discovered the Quran, and that's when I discovered the Book of Enoch. In these past 4 years of producing on YouTube, I have made such immense strides in areas outside of science. But if you look inside of science, I have made dozens of major discoveries within the realm of physics. And today, that is at this time, midsummer 2026, I am working on the cutting edge of science yet again. For the dozenth time, I'm at the cutting edge of science and have solved a major network of mysteries again. Again! The series of discoveries that's befallen me is unequaled in the history of science. And it could be all a fantasy world. Now, from my point of view, having a rational feedback system, I know that it's not a fantasy system, but you don't know that. You don't know how to validate, even if you believe me. Oh, I believe him. Look, he's believable. Well, that's a trap. It doesn't make any difference that my face is pretty, which I don't believe it actually. I am over 70 years old. I know I don't look it. My hair hasn't seemed to change that much. But I am over 70. I've lived some years. I've lived some decades. I have some water under the bridge, okay? And most of my life was in religion. Which means I'm probably a fucking boring pansy. Let's face it. How many religious people do you know that are just exciting to talk? They're boors. B-O-O-R and B-O-R-E. Well, I'm not. I have got the happening action on the YouTube science circuit. Nobody can catch up with me. That deserves a book, not a paper. It deserves a book. And if I don't write that book, it's on my ass. Because science is collaborative. It's the only altruistic practice that humans engage in on a mass basis. Otherwise, when people get together, they form organizations, they form committees, they have a guidance system. You understand we're talking about governments in general, but also any church. Any church has a leadership. And that's the end of that fucking religion. As soon as you have a group of men guiding your religion, or guiding your country, or guiding your science, you are fucked in the ass. You have a group of people now. You're not getting rid of them. You will never get rid of that group of people. And it takes on a life of its own. So that maybe Joseph Smith, or Ellen G. White, or Mary Baker Eddy, or Martinus Luther, any of these guys who were religious leaders who made waves on earth. They started a religion, they got a religious movement going. They made, let's say, the Church of Jesus Christ of the Latter-day Saints, known as the Mormons, an enlistment of millions millions of Americans are Mormons. How can you explain that? You can't unless you know Jungian group dynamics. Carl Gustav Jung, who is in this list somewhere but not on this particular outline, what you see over here is an outline of what I've done in my entire life. 1970 this begins. Now you see this was dated from yesterday. This was an answer to a comment that I received on a recent video, where the guy wants to help me get an interview because I'm screeching for it. I'm out of my mind that way. Like, get me a fucking interview. What's wrong with you, Kurtjai Mungle? Where are you, Lex Friedman? And then I start calling them names. I'm emotionally involved. I'm in way over my head. I'm totally committed, but it's not religion. Is it not? Let's find out. This is supposed to be a science channel, not a goddamn pansy, boring, religious piece of shit. Well, I'm the only man who has insight into religion that makes it exciting. I'm the only man on the face of the earth who can make religion into science. And I'm not the first man to have attempted to do that. A man named Al-Ghazali, who lived about 950 years ago in the golden age of Islam. It was about the year 1000 AD, when England was a cesspool and Europe was a stinking, festering sewer. At that time, when Europe was troglodytish, the Iranian, Arabian, Levantian culture of Islam was flourishing. The beauty and desire of the earth, the success of the human race for once in its goddamned history, made a culture that was benign, beneficent, altruistic, and positive, culturally supremely beautiful, with the most perfect religion, which is, in fact, Christianity. Islam is Christianity, and it's taken the place of the Jews. There are no Jews, and you've been brainwashed to think that there are. Are there Christians? Not in America there aren't, and not in Europe. Those are false Christians, like the LDS Church, the Mormons. They have their own prophet, okay? Joseph Smith got golden plates from heaven. He was imitating Muhammad. He was consciously imitating Muhammad under the control of the Illuminati. The Illuminati are the ones who created American Christianity, and Mormonism is the flower of Satanism. Better even than the goddamn Vatican, the Pope, the papacy that ruled Europe for over 1,000 years and turned it into a cesspool. While that was happening, God's plan was going well through Muhammad. And Muhammad was a Christian. He's devoted to Yeshua the prophet. Devoted to Yeshua. How come you don't know that? How come you don't know that? You may doubt me. Look it up, darling. Look it up. For 1,400 years, Christianity has flourished in Iran, Arabia, and until very recently, specifically 1948, it was flourishing in Israel. Jerusalem was owned by the people of God, not the fucking Europeans, not the whites, not the Jews, not the invaders, not the dirty, filthy Western white race. Does that sound like science to you? We'll take a break of a nanosecond. For me, it'll be about 10 minutes. I'm going to get some fluids. The sun is coming up. It's dawn here on another 100-degree day. I am going to go through this brief outline that I published as a reply to a very nice comment that was given to me. In fact, I'm going to cut off this video at 20 minutes. We're approaching that now. And in the next video, which will be issued within the next half hour, another promise. I could get distracted. 3 days could go by. You don't know me. I'm I'm a proved liar. He said he would produce his paper by Christmas 2024-25. Now he's saying it for the third time. Who could believe such a knucklehead? There are extenuating circumstances. I discovered the Quran. I discovered the Book of Enoch. I'm making dozens of discoveries all the time, ongoing, non-ending. One victory for science and rational logic after another due to my discoveries made in geometry. Geometry, the forgotten aspect of science. The reason why all of your YouTube science presenters are psychotic liars. They are out of their fucking minds. All of them. Brian Greene, Michio Kaku, Neil deGrasse Tyson, all of them. Without exception. There are exceptions. Veritasium is very good. There's Numberphile. You can find some excellent science stations, and you can learn for the rest of your life, and it won't do you any good at all, because you're not based in reality. Oh yeah, this goes to reality, the nature of consciousness. How come you haven't changed your mind yet? You know that's the only thing you need to do is change your mind. Well, then get some LSD, get some mushrooms. That's actually quite valuable in context. I myself have taken all the psychedelic drugs, although I don't do it extensively and I haven't done it for decades. But in my youth, I took LSD, I ate mushrooms. I would have taken peyote, except it makes you vomit. And I'm sorry, that's the end of the story for peyote forever and ever. But I took psilocybin, I took mescaline, and I took LSD. I have not taken DMT, although I have it on good authority that the DMT trip is worth taking. I'm a little old, I'm a little straight-laced, I'm kind of a pinafore kind of guy that way. I'm religious. I don't take unnecessary chances, but in science, you do need to push the envelope. Maybe you need to take a personal risk. You want to study that volcano? Well, let's see you rope up and descend into the crater then. You can lose your life on behalf of your interest in science, which may be on behalf of the interests of others, as I pray it will be. That's my whole reason for being out on YouTube, is to make this geometry popular. But I don't ask for money. I'm allergic to money. Heaven has told me stay away from money. It's like kryptonite to Superman. You touch money, you're fucked. And so I don't touch money, because I listen to what heaven tells me. Does that make me a starry-eyed freak? Perhaps. How the hell would you know? Perhaps I'm worse than a Mormon. I'm worse than a Catholic. I'm worse than a goddamn Protestant. Come to Jesus because he is God himself. Liar. 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 Well, who better? The man who's promised to produce a paper by Christmas every July. Lie. 2 lies in a row. 2 years hand running. Here's the third. I'm going to produce a paper. Sure you are. Sure you are, Scott. Oh yeah, we believe you. No. Do it. Let's see you do it. Now I have to do it. So we'll be right back. That's coming up on 25 minutes. But in the minute and a half that I have left to get this under 25 minutes, because people like short videos. They don't like long videos. Gee, I wonder why. Yeah, you try to make it brief. Well, try that sometime. It's impossible to keep it brief if you're me. I talk at a natural rhythm for 2 to 3 hours. 2 to 3 hours without a break. Now, when you see a presenter just guzzling liquid, just glork, de glork, de glork, forgive him. He's giving you a valuable lesson. You're going to talk that long? Have a giant tureen of water, maybe with a giant flexible straw. Just suck, suck, suck. Talk for 10 minutes and then glork, de glork. Just pick it up and upend it. Blub, de blub, de blub, and pour it all over yourself and look, just dripping with water. Ha! Boy, that's refreshing. My brain feels a lot better. That's 25 minutes. What we're going to be talking about in this list is, first of all, here's our advanced technology. When I scroll, you see it has the date at the bottom, down here. Now watch. Oh, yeah, look at that. Ha! So you can see in an expanded version what's up there. Because I want you to see the whole thing at once. But I also want you to be able to read it, and I hope you can. Some people use their cell phone. I think this is visible, but of course I'm going to read it. So from 1970 to the year 2000, I was a Bible scholar, and I achieved the highest possible reach that any Bible scholar has ever reached. You'd have to take my word for it. I produced 2 books, but they were burned up in the campfire of 2018, November 8th, 2018. My home on Pence Ridge was hit by that fire and burned first because that fire was trying to destroy my work. Because otherwise, you, the hoi polloi, might have found out the true meaning of the Tetragrammaton. That is forbidden to you. I will never tell you what that is, although I have. I'm an inveterate liar because I need attention, and I set you up with an enantiodromia. I'm not going to tell you anything from religion, not going to breathe a word. You're not worthy. You're not intelligent enough. Your soul is lost to Satan. I'm not going to help you, and then I do. Confusing? Well, that's science, that's religion, that's politics, that's life on earth. Are you confused? Yes. How come you haven't changed your mind yet then? Do you need drugs? No. And that's not the right way. Almost everything that a human being does to do the one thing that they have to do, without which nothing matters, which is to change your mind. What does that mean? That's totally open-ended. Change your mind from what to what? The technical term is metanoia, which means change of mind, but in the New Testament Koine Greek, that word is translated repentance. Repentance. And as I mentioned earlier, Al-Ghazali, my predecessor, my immediate forebear from 1,000 years ago, is a man who wrote a book on the revival of religious science. That's what I'm doing. The same work that the greatest scholar of all time, the greatest scholar in the history of the human race, was Al-Ghazali. He is called, technically, and the Jays have chimed in, when the Jays start to screech, they know, they can hear me through the open door. And that Jay is screeching to let you know, you need to be heads up listening. All of your sensors are focused on me now. This is YouTube. So, those are the first 30 years of my life, a Bible scholar. 30 years without science. No science. I can't do mathematics. The J is letting you know. Hear that J. Go, baby. Tell it like it is. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with a completion of this outline so you'll understand where I'm at in my research, which is now into the fundamental nature of physics, a reframing of physics entirely, according to the work of Bernardo Kastrup, my immediate forebear in the realm of knowledge about consciousness. He says that consciousness is the basis of physics. He is not the first man to have said that. There are guys that are accredited, bona fide. They're called philosophers, which is usually not welcome in science, but we're talking about the likes of Heidegger, and there are a few other names of men who have said, way before Bernardo Kastrup, with his analytic idealism, which states that science is based on consciousness, not on matter. On consciousness in place of matter. That's the debate. Is there such a thing as matter? You can't get rid of it. You can't say that it doesn't exist. But now we have a new logic system that was discovered in the 20th century that puts everything in its right place. Yes, you have Schrödinger's cat problem, which is not about the life and death of the cat. It's about the superposition of true and false state, which contradicts science and ruins us and turns us into psychotic monsters. As all of your science presenters out on YouTube fall into that category. Absolutely taken in the snare. Not giving you truth in any way. Not helping you change your mind. Metanoia. Repentance. Al-Ghazali has a whole chapter. of hundreds of pages. This is about an 8,000 page work, which a lot of Islam men and women memorize. They can't memorize 10,000 pages. What they do is they read it all the way through. This is a fact that you can look up. It's done to this day. Al-Ghazali is called the proof of Islam. That means the proof of Christianity. That means the proof of how you can change your mind to make your life happy. That's the goal, is for your life to end in happiness. It won't. It won't. Your life will not end well unless you succeed in seeing the other side. And that's extremely difficult not to do. A child actually does it until it's beaten out of them. They see the moon. They understand reality. Children do. Young children. That's why Yeshua, the great master, whom you in the West know as Jesus, a hideous name, but Yeshua is beautiful. He is Muhammad's brother. Muhammad virtually worships that man. But a prophet will not worship another prophet. But Muhammad is 100% committed to Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus, the anointed one. That means the elect one. He was prophesied from before the ecocidal flood. Now all of that sounds like fantasy to you. You're going to need to change your mind about that. And I say you need to. But you have to do it rationally. Because if you're just pretending, you're a goddamn Mormon pansy. You're a lying, stinking subterfuge of the enemy. You're pretending to be Christian because you don't know the actual truth. That's why I'm here. And that's a half an hour. Thank you for tuning in to Anagalactic. I do give myself about every other video the chance to basically unburden myself, which is what I did in this video. In the next video, I'll be back to talking like an Oxford professor in a slower cadence without so much emotion and not so much swearing and not so many promises that I can't keep. I am producing my paper this way. I intend to write it down and publish it fully formatted in LaTeX outline, that is layout, and it will be a professional paper. But the book is more important. The paper is to produce a proof. That's what a scientific paper is, although you wouldn't know it these days because science is psychotic. So's religion, except for the Islam people, but they're losing it too, and all their imams around the world say so. Islam is slipping. That cannot happen. I will revive it myself if necessary, because I just finished reading the Quran. It took me a year to read the entire Quran, which means that I studied it word by word, phrase by phrase, sentence by sentence, section by section, paragraph by paragraph, surah by surah, ayat by ayat. I went into the Sunni, that is the Sunnah, which is the body of tradition recorded in the Hadith. That's Islam. That's Islam. The Quran is how it got started. Muhammad, yes, that's how it got started. Muhammad received from an archangel the words that went into the Quran that he didn't write. They were written down for him, similarly to Yeshua HaMashiach, who never wrote a thing. And you're supposed to figure out from secondhand evidence what these men are saying. What did Yeshua say? What did Muhammad say? That's in the Hadith. The flowering of Christianity is in Iran right now. Why is it being attacked? Now you know why it's being attacked by the West. The fake Christians are attacking the true Christians. That's called the apocalypse. We'll be right back. Thank you for tuning in to this rather interesting station, I should have to say. On my own recognizance, this is where it's at. I am at the top now. I will get you through every gate in physics, religion, and politics. I know everything that you need to know in order for you to do the step that you just haven't been able to take yet. You have got to analyze your own mind, your own heart, soul, and spirit. You have to figure yourself out. What are you doing to fix your life? Does it need fixing? Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Keep looking up. We're getting towards the new moon now. The holiest time on the calendar. Is the new moon the basis of the Sabbath system, which I rediscovered? Not one single American Protestant church listened to me. So I went to Ukraine and preached to them. They did listen to me. In Kiev, where I lived for years, and Yalta, where I packed a house. There were people lined up outside, looking in the windows to see the American talk about the holiest name of God. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your comments, those of you who do comment. Thank you for your interest. We're in this together. This is a collaborative effort. It's the only thing humans do well. I intend to do it the best. There's only one way to do that. You have to get the solution. What's the question? What's the problem? What are we actually trying to do as individuals or as a race? What we're trying to do as a race is sorted. You don't want to know, I'll tell you anyway, so you have the reasoning behind the irrational behavior of the United States, Europe, and Israel against the Islam nations to destroy worship of God on earth. We'll be right back. Thank you very much for tuning in. I will be back. I swear to God that I will not abandon you, but I might drop dead at any moment. So this is serious. It's time controlled. I'm over 70, children. So don't worry about my soul, but I worry about yours, because you can be absolutely blissfully happy and die in peace, which you're going to do one way or another, more quickly than you thought possible. Your death is approaching. Get serious. Get the solution. Listen to me. I can't change your mind for you. You can't coerce love. You can't coerce understanding. You can't even coerce someone to have fun or be happy. You cannot force that, or you're doing it the wrong way. It has to be totally willing. You have to want to change your mind. Do you? You may not see any reason to do so. Stay tuned. I'll be right back. Thank you.